Our significance claim is that although they are still considered adults without having to drink alcohol, it is not a maturity matter, but it is more of a safety matter. From an article called Cons to Learning the Drinking Age, the affirmative says that 18-year-olds can serve in the military, legally marry, and have many more privileges except drinking. Our first supporting claim is that being able to drink and getting married or going into work have nothing in common. In the article Cons to Learning the Drinking Age, the military takes young people because they are not developed and have the opportunity to be trained as soldiers. The last thing that the leaders and the unit commanders want in their soldiers is to drink. At the age of 18, their brains continue developing until the age of 25 years old. A national survey found that slightly more than half of young adults in the U.S. between the ages of 12 and 20 years old have consumed alcohol at least once. Some researchers speculate that teens are more vulnerable to addiction because the pleasure center of the brain matures before the part of the brain responsible for impulse control and executive decision making. In other words, teenagers' capacity for pleasure reaches adult proportions well before the capacity of sound decision making does. Young people who drink are more likely to be the victims of violent crime, to be involved in alcohol-related traffic accidents, and to have depression and anxiety. Researchers have shown that the brains of young adults continue developing until the age of 25 years old. It does not matter if you think that you are legally considered as an adult at the age of 18. The law is set for the appropriate age limit for a necessary reason. My second claim is that it does not matter the location where the drinking is taking place, but more of the consequence that can lead to binge drinking and health effects. Most college students are not mature to handle drinking alcohol, and they make poor choices, such as sneaking alcohol into school, drinking under the influence, or binge drinking. Underage and binge drinking is risky and can lead to car accidents, violent behavior, alcohol poisoning, and other health problems. In an article called Teenage Drinking, Understanding the Dangers in Talking to Your Child, binge drinking, which is a consumption of 5 or more drinks at one sitting, for females, 4 or more for females can cause teens to pass out, black out, lose memory that events that occurred while they were intoxicated, feeling sick, missing school, or behave in ways that would otherwise be uncharacteristic of them. My third supporting claim is that you can have fun without the consumption of alcohol. My advocate mentioned that science proves that alcohol is fun, but from the same research, Dr. Mitchell said that this indicates that the brain of heavier problem drinkers are changed in a way that makes them more likely to find alcohol pleasant. And it may be a clue to how problem drinking develops in the first place. The greater feeling of reward might cause them to drink way too much. In an article by Brad Gritz, science proves drinking is never as fun as you think. Binge drinking among teens and young adults is at an all-time high in the U.S. Around 90% of the alcohol drinking by people under 21 is consumed while binge drinking. While small amounts of alcohol can create a feeling of well-being, positive expectations about a party, event, or even drinking can produce the same sense of euphoria of the alcohol itself. Lowere Age, Scott Sheldon, PhD, and the study's lead author said, if you believe alcohol can give you liquid courage, or that drinking helps you fit in or be more social, you're likely to drink more. Waiting 3 more years to be legal to drink alcohol is worth the wait, and it could save lives. More than 25,000 lives have been saved in the U.S. thanks to the 21 minimum legal drinking age. This law continues to prevent tragedies, decreasing crashes by estimated by 16%, and keeping young people safer from many risks. Jay Fell from the MAD Association, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Many activities have initiation. A person must wait until the age of 16 to start driving, age 18 to marry without parental consent, age 35 to become president, and so on. The age limit for alcohol is based on research which shows that young people react differently to alcohol. Teens get drunk twice as fast as adults, but have more trouble knowing when to stop. Teens naturally overdo it and binge more often than adults do. Enforcing the legal drinking age of 21 reduces traffic crashes, protects young people's maturing brains, and keeps young people safer overall. Keeping the drinking age at 21 has saved lives, and there's no reason to fix it when it's not even broken to begin with. We should not change the drinking age, or it should not be mirrored to the European drinking age limits, because the rate of drinking among U.S. teenagers is lower than most European countries. Lowering the drinking age in some European countries to 16, 17, or 18 is inappropriate to the U.S. standards, because American teens start to drive at a very young age and drive more often than European countries, and teens are more likely to drink under the influence of alcohol. Teenagers also show equal or lower rates of intoxication or binge drinking than adolescents do from most European countries, and most European countries report higher rates of intoxication and binge drinking for youth under 13 years old. My opponent used the article, What Can Europe Teach the U.S. About Reducing Traffic Fatalities by Richard Reed. There are tougher laws on drunk drinking, including lower legal blood alcohol limits and greater use of alcohol ignition interlocks for those convicted of driving while intoxicated. There are differences to consider. On average, U.S. drivers are drive twice as far during the year as their counterparts in the Netherlands, Sweden, or the UK. The U.S. is a much larger country than any of the others. Furthermore, land use and urban planning differ substantially between the U.S. and Europe. Most U.S. cities were designed in such a way that transportation depends heavily on personal vehicles. Naturally, the more folks travel, the more likely they are to be involved in an accident. Binge drinking among youth, however, has been recorded at higher levels in many other countries than the U.S. The European Economic Union fielded a study in 2008 that recorded binge drinking levels significantly higher than the U.S. in all countries. If we were to follow the European model, where drinking takes place relatively safely among young adults, with very few drunk driving incidents, we might bear in mind that Europeans as a whole are more reliant on public transportation, which includes subways, buses, trams, bikes, and high-speed trains like the Germany's ICE. In other words, simply because drinking and driving rates are not particularly high in Europe among late teens does not mean this trend would continue in the U.S.
All right, I've got to cut you off. You're at 8 minutes.